All right, doing a fun still life. I actually haven't done one of these in a while. These like little cocktail still life. Got an old fashioned here, which is actually my favorite cocktail. And some Maker's Mark. It's funny, I went to go buy this solely to do this painting, and they didn't have like their normal bottle, which is like this color, cream color, for like the whole label. And because they had like a holiday one and had like this weird design, I was like, I don't want to paint that. And this is kind of the closest one that I could get. But you know, painting the red wax is going to be a lot of fun, and the metallic here and the measure, and the little cap there. So it should be a lot of fun. I got an 8x10 linen panel here. It's actually bigger than a lot of these that I do. A lot of my still life. A lot of times my still life, I feel like I do like 6x8, but I've got like a few things in here and just wanted a little more space. Put a tone the canvas with a little burnt sienna and ultramarine blue, wiped with paper towel with paint thinner, and I just put this measured simple grid line help us find some key points here to get our drawing in. And I actually, if you want a little more help, you can measure, just put little halfway points there, 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 and there. And I just put a few here on my reference. But we can just jump in and start drawing. On my palette, I got ivory black, ultramarine blue, alizarin crimson, burnt sienna, cadmium red, yellow ochre, cadmium lemon, and titanium white. Just gonna get a little bit of the burnt sienna and ultramarine blue and draw this in. And I'm just gonna look for some key points here, like going down here, kind of seeing how far down that kind of comes over. Kind of see how much, there's a little more the bottle to the left than to the right. And then that halfway point right below that is kind of where that wax is. Got that. I actually probably want to push this over just a little bit more. It comes out like right there. You can kind of barely see the edge of the bottle there. Kind of stops here. We're not going to see a lot of the edge of that bottle. It's going to get lost into the background, but we can put certain little reflections in. But this is going to be here. And then this glass is kind of right there. Halfway mark, it's kind of here. Angles up. I think I might have pushed that out a little too far. Just want to change that angle. Got more right there. So much of drawing is being able to see shapes, and that includes negative shapes. like seeing like the distance here and being able to, you know, kind of calculate that and transfer it to the canvas. So right here, that's the halfway mark. And so bottom's going to be kind of right there. Helps you can always just put it in the bottle. You might want to, I don't know, I want to raise it up just a little bit. Kind of like that. You got the top cup here, so that kind of stops almost like right at halfway, so that's good right there. And then angles back out. I'll cast shadow. It actually curves in. I didn't realize that with the bottle. It kind of curves in right there. You don't see it on this side, so it doesn't really matter. I can kind of gauge how far this glass starts from that center line. Comes down. It's just a little past there. And then got the cap here that I purposefully like overlapped with a little measuring cup here. Though I don't think that's the right placement. Got background there. Cast shadow. And I'll get more specific with this when I paint it. Just kind of getting rough placement. Shadow here. All right, I think I'm ready to start painting. So I actually want to get this, let's get this background in. I'm just gonna get a big brush here. So the number 8. Get some ivory black. Get a little bit of the blue. Let's just get this background in. I'm actually, maybe a touch of red. I'm actually going to, let's see, we got that label. So I'm gonna leave a spot for that label right there. But I'm just gonna put, honestly, all this black too. Trust me, it's gonna make it a lot easier to paint because we're just gonna stack the lighter reflections on top. So now it's just a matter of filling this all in. That's why I'm using a big brush. Make sure I get enough paint. Oh, see, that's a little too thin. Scrape that. Nice and thick. Actually, gonna bring this. Let's get that orange peel, and then it kind of starts down there. Just gonna bring this all the way down to the shadow. Speaking of shadows, one here. See, nothing too complicated right now. Now we can start having a little more fun. Now with this this wax up here, I'm actually gonna, it's got like a, what's this, number 2 flat brush. Use whatever brush you're comfortable with. Just getting a little more specific with these shapes. Comes down. The light is coming from the left side, so the right side's a little more in shadow, so I can get some cad red and actually just pull in a little bit of this ivory black. You see it's a slightly darker red. Here we go, even a little darker. I always like just blocking things out, light and shadow. Push a little bit of crimson in there. A little bit of it just right there. It's going to help give it that kind of lift off of the bottle there. Kind of blend it with the background a little bit. But now it's going to push a little more red into this for the light side. It's not going to be the lightest value. So I'm going to build lighter values on top of it. So I'm going to push a little bit of yellow into this. Now I'm actually going to come back with some black for up top here. Get that in. Now, just getting a touch of white into this red. Because there's that, and then it goes down like that. You can actually see a little bit of it here. And continue right there. Little shadow. And then clean my brush, get a pretty much good amount of white, just a touch of that red, just a little bit. Right there. And a little right there. And then an even smaller amount right there. There's a little bit. Ooh, see, that's way too much right there. If that happens, you just come back with your black. Make it a little smaller. You even get a little rigger brush now. This bright. Place that there and there. And get my black and actually sharpen up that right there. Cause it's cool because it's actually then like reflected right there in the bottle. Right there. So now, let me just changing the angle of this, kind of arcs down a little more. It actually gets a little lighter. I'm going to get some red, touch of the yellow. Right here. Same with the left side there. I actually like this color. I'm going to push it a little more. So as we start to work the bottle and these like reflections, try and think big to small and dark to light. So like, what's the darkest, biggest reflection? There's kind of one right here. If you can see it, so tape this down so it's flatter, but it's like a very, very desaturated purple. So if you got the ivory black, some of your red, and a little bit of white, and it's just a little right there. So there's a little more red. It's pretty dark. So you don't want to make this too bright. But it's actually a little more red. I feel like it's reflecting some of that. Use a bigger brush. Got a little bit there. I see it also right here. It's also kind of like, I know there's like a bunch of like really bright highlights in there, but like underneath it is this kind of, right, this. Doesn't need to be perfect. And a little here, just to indicate that. See, this one though is like a little more blue. So you can actually just get some white and then push a little more the ivory black. That'll be definitely blue enough. And goes up right there. And it's cool, you see like the red from the wax being reflected faintly in here. So I can like get some red and let it blend into that black a little bit. Same right there. It's actually kind of fades into the black a little more up there, and it gets actually pretty strong just down at the bottom here. But you see I'm like laying in all of these more subtle values before I come in with these like really bright brights. So again, the white, get a little bit of that kind of desaturated purple. Let's see here, we got one here, one there. That. I feel like these actually have a little more red in them. Actually gonna get my rigger brush out for these tiny ones. One there. And there's a really, well, actually gets kind of more blue right there. Now we can put in this big, very big bright one, which is right above, it's like right there. Not too bad. All right, now we can keep on moving down the bottle. I'm gonna actually push a little more black up here. You see how if you get this like the right value in the right place, like the bottle will start to come together. Now, I actually see there's like this dark print on the label right here. I'm gonna do a label next. I'm going to first mix up a shadow because it's partially in shadow. So get some yellow ochre, a little bit of the cad red, a little ivory black, you know, that's kind of close. There's the part of it that's in shadow right here. And then it goes to bright. Just push a little more white, maybe a little yellow ochre. Get a little bit of that red in there. It's kind of like a cream color. And then we're just gonna kind of blend together. So now we got that cast shadow from the little measuring cup. But let's move on to the actual drink itself. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna squint my eyes. I'm gonna try and work dark to light. So when I squint my eyes, I see like this darkish reddish. And I'm not worried about being super, you know, coloring in the lines, like I'd say. I'm just trying to get a feel. There's gonna be plenty of opportunity to adjust things. I'm just constantly comparing colors and values. Again, trying to work dark to light. And working big to small. So I'm just kind of getting I call it like a dark base for the main shapes. Like even this ice. I'm getting kind of like the darkest color that I see for it. Pushing a little more yellow into this and a lot of soft edges also in here because we're looking through like liquid. So all this is softer. Just gonna get some yellow. Cad red, get a pretty orangey, yellowy color for in here. Don't worry if you don't get things right the first try, because you're gonna have to keep adjusting things. And now I can go a little more saturated with some red here. The red and the yellow. Get this really bright orange down here. Then got that there. Kind of looking and seeing where I see this same color. Kind of letting that blend together. Gonna like start a new pile here for the actual orange peel. We're getting there. Going even more saturated with my red and kind of orangey color down here. A little more kind of yellowy. And there's one part here that's gonna make a big difference, which is this. Really bright highlight under here. Seeing some like desaturated purple. Gets a little more red underneath the glass. And a lot of this is just building, just building values and colors on top of each other, taking a step back, saying like, all right, what needs to be brighter, what needs to be darker. I think this needs to be a little cooler in there. It's all just about seeing shapes. Here it's like a little cooler of a color. Whenever you're lost, squint your eyes and just paint what you see. Don't be afraid of it being super simple. Went off in the wrong direction. Because most of the time, being super simple is probably going to be better. Seeing some reflections in there. Now, I actually don't want it all to be connected. I'm just going to break it up. I feel I can communicate it better just by picking and choosing a little rigger brush, like highlight there, one there, light one here, bright one there, and then getting kind of more of a reddish orangey here. But I think that's all looking good. Push a little more yellow. Working. Just gotta kind of clean it up a little bit around it. Actually get some burnt sienna, some black, 'cause I do see really subtle reflections, kind of reddish in here. Kind of the closer you get to the glass. And just as you're going through, just look for shapes. The value of the shapes, like there's a light, but it's not crazy light, but see it there? I think it's even brighter because it's a reflection from that metal. I see one here too. All right, we are moving right along to this little metal measuring cup. And actually I'm actually gonna just bring in the black here. And I feel like, in this we're painting, glass, metal, and so much of it is just being able to identify the shape and getting the right value. So I hope that's what you're taking away the most from this. And like, I'm gonna squint my eyes. Like, I know like right here you see a lot, but I'm just gonna squint my eyes and I kind of see it's like a very dark red. Just gonna get that in there. There's one here. And the rest is like the desaturated purple. And the key is to, it's like, how good can you get at getting these value relationships right? Let's just cover that up for now. And like I've said before, it helps to work big to small and dark to light. It's just going to be easier to stack colors and values. I'll show you, like here, I'm just going to this. Come back to background. See how it's like you can start to see it. You got dark and you have like a mid-tone. Now we can like put in lights. Can also, like this is reflecting, that's the orange peel being reflected. It's not nearly as bright as like the original orange peel, but some red and yellow. Get an orange and that's a little too, that's too bright. Get a little more red in there. But actually gets pretty dark in there. I always kind of go around and get like dark areas. Like I see like a little dark on the back side or inside here, a little dark shape. And now I can push things a little lighter. Not going to the lightest light just yet, but taking a little white, warm it with a little bit of yellow ochre. That I'm gonna just clean my brush so there's no paint on it and just kind of just soften that edge down there. Gonna go down to an even smaller brush and I see like it's almost like a yellow ochre white. It's actually, that's the label being reflected in there. So I do see a little bit of that right there. Gonna go a little bit brighter here, and now I can go to the brightest areas to really make it pop. This one on the left is not as bright right there. Let's see, that's how you paint metal. Just a matter of getting these values right, and now I can actually come back and put that in. Let's do it with the bottom half. Again, starting with the darkest dark and just trying to see shapes. See a dark shape here. There's a little dark one here. Squint my eyes and actually just gonna put a base. I just put this all dark. The intention of building up over top of it. So nothing that different. Just getting a little white into the ivory black. That a little there. A little bit of red. And I'm just kind of going through and see it gets red there. Pretty much the same colors as above, just in different areas. Same things being reflected. Right there. Actually back here, this is it's the ground. Getting some white, very, very little bit of black. A little more black. Softening some edges. Right, now I actually want to get in. I think I've gone long enough without putting in this ground. It gets darker in the back, and I actually don't want to have like a harsh line. I just want to get a little bit of red in there. I just want it to kind of fade in. Push a little more white when I want to make it a little bit lighter. Like a little bit here, but then this glass is casting a shadow. I can start getting lighter. Put a little more white and still a little more red to keep it warm. Main thing is getting the value correct. You don't want it too bright and you don't want it too dark. I actually want to be careful, and I actually want to get in. I'm going to clean my brush. Get ivory black, it's a touch of the red, really dark. I want to establish this shadow here because once I get this lighter paint down, it might be hard to come back and get a good dark. So I just kind of want to get that in. It's making my life a little easier later. And bring this stuff down. Now I can continue back on what I was doing. I realize right now it's probably darker than it needs to be, but that's okay. Not too bad. Definitely gonna push it a little bit lighter. A little bit of white, a little bit of yellow ochre in there. I'm actually keeping that dark a little closer to everything. I think that's getting pretty good. Maybe a touch lighter. And you can also, I think I see a little more reflection. It's getting like a little yellow ochre. See a little here. A little bit of red. It's very faint. It's going to be from there. I'm going to take this and kind of bring it right into the glass. Now I'm seeing there's some things I can alter about the bottom of this glass. Mainly like this little dark sliver. Right underneath. And it's a pretty saturated orange. Just gonna get rid of that back there. See, I still think I can go a little bit darker. Because you got to get this dark down here to really sell it sitting on the ground. I'm just kind of going through and doing little things that I see, kind of indicating this right side of the glass. Just enough. There's a lot of the ground color kind of being reflected into this glass. I can see that. I am actually going to get a little bit of the ground color and put this back in. A little gap of light. The shadow's actually angled. I think that looks better. All right, now let's put in this top. Start with the shadowed side, so a little bit of cad red and a little bit of black. It's going to be this side. A little bit of crimson. It's the shadowed side. And then the light side here. And a good amount of white, so it's like a really, really light pink. Right there. Now with this cork, it's the shadowed part of the cork. And there's the light side. Kind of mainly this yellow ochre. Really taking my time to shape that shadow just right on the ground. I'm gonna go one more level brighter cork there. All right, now it is time, I guess, to do the lettering. Let's see if we can do this. First, let's find the right color, which is, it's kind of like an off-white, a white little yellow ochre. So the red, black. Just using a small rigger brush and gonna see if we can do this. So we got this part. So I got like the R. It's a little too bright. A little more black. I got the R right there. And then it's like, well, I see I kind of made my measuring cup probably a little higher. Or maybe I didn't make I don't think I made my glass high enough. So let me fix that actually. Get rid of that little R. Because there's actually like a little, I have to get rid of all that. Sorry, no big deal. It's all just black anyway. Probably paint it better. If you see something wrong with your painting, fix it. Don't be happy with good paintings. Always strive for great paintings. And let's see if we can even do this better. Let me get some black, red, a little bit of white. This is going to be up here. Yeah. Got this highlight right there. I think I can communicate this with just highlights. And then that right there. And if I take, just got to kind of bring these back up a little more. All right, now that I've fixed the placement, we can go back to these lettering. I'm really not a fan of doing letters. So I think the key is to not like try, I don't know, don't worry about it being 100% perfect. Still want this being, it's really not that bright. I need to use an E. Let me kind of see, then there'll be a K there, then an A, and then the M should work. Ooh. And there's kind of, I can get some messy through there. Probably should have said this earlier, but if you really struggle with letters, like I do a lot of the time, little trick you can do is like use the back of your brush and kind of write it in. At least that lets you know that like you're gonna have enough room or the placement of everything. You use paint over it. Man, struggling to get a consistent color here. Okay, I think making it kind of loose like this, I feel like helps get you off the hook with it being perfect. I do think this could be a little bit brighter. And there's, all right, so we have another R here. There's that K behind there. And then an M. Really kind of there's no way around just taking your time doing this. I know it's hard. It's hard for me. But I think it's coming along. Not looking too bad. Still think though, go a little bit lighter up here. All right, we're getting close. Cause I don't know if I'm gonna do all of the type. I got the little star thing. It's just like little things like this that I feel like you don't need to really worry a ton about, as long as you get something in there that suggests what's in there. And if you need to, you can always come back with a negative, like fix things if you need to. It's like the rest here, the cast strength. Do I really want to put that in? Oh, I guess I have to. I don't have to, but of the sea. Actually, I think there is a way of doing this very simply. Let me see. I'm just going to load my brush up. And it's kind of starts over here. It's hard to write with a brush. So I just kind of messed that part up. Get some black, try that again. But you can see kind of like how loose I'm doing it. I'm not worrying about being perfect. And I think getting a good amount of paint thinner helps. And then, I don't know, this. Let's do that. That should be fine, no one will know. But I do want to get a little right in there, some there, and then some red. A little bit of black in the shadow, because I do like these red numbers. And it's brighter when it gets out here. All right, I think that's all working. Might be a few little touch-up things, but I think that's about it. This one turned out really nice. So kind of review the main points of this is just take things one shape at a time, compare values. You know, you don't want something too light or too dark, and it's just, you got to compare what's going on. Like here, see, this is a little darker. Don't be afraid to put something in and then paint over it. Nothing's going to be perfect right off the bat. It's kind of a good, fun thing about oil paint is you can really manipulate it and change it. Like even here towards the end, I'm still changing little things here and there, making adjustments. Seeing like a little more red here. I'm actually going to lighten the ground one more time. A little bit of red. better. All right. Hope you enjoyed. Have fun painting.